Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I'm glad you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. I would like to start this session by appreciating you so much for making our channel grow to 17,000 subs. If you wish to support us, please continue hitting the subscribe button, and then you can also hit the like button. There seems to be a growing confusion among the Kenya Kwanza leaders. Earlier on in our last analysis, when we did an analysis on Kimani Ichung'wa's sudden change of heart in matters server access, when Kimani Ichung'wa said that they are ready to sit down with Azimio's team so that they can bring all their issues on the negotiating table, including the issue of server, so that the Kenya Kwanza people can call the 4 commissioners on the negotiating table, so that the 4 commissioners can shed more light on this issue, and then so that they can also seek for access to that server, and then so that Azimio team can perform their thorough audit of the server, ili hii issue ya server iishe. And they said when he was making that submission, that even if Azimio's team go through the server, they will find that Raila Amolo Odinga did not win. That is according to what Kimani Ichung'wa said. So the question here is very simple. I don't know. I didn't advise Kimani Ichung'wa yesterday in my previous analysis. But the question here is very simple. Raila is not saying that he wants to see, that server that you want them to Azimio to access, because the server that they want Azimio to access already has been tampered according to Azimio. And that is not what Azimio wanataka kuangalia. No. That is why CS ICHUNGWA MURKOMEN, the CS for Road and Transport, had a different narrative. I think this narrative, because the narrative came after Kimani Ichung'wa had made his own remarks. So these other remarks by CS Murkomen, when they had gone for, I think it was issues of bursary for around 40 million worth bursary, but that was a ceremony. So Murkomen, had a different narrative. In fact, Murkomen asked Raila Amolo Odinga why in 2017 he did not ask Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta for the keys to the server. So now, before we go further on this issue, I want to remind Murkomen of 2017, perhaps if he has forgotten. In 2017, there were similar issues that needed the server to be accessed so that ile issue narrative ya vifaranga vya computer ili iwe presented vizuri. I think back then the provider of IEBC system was Otimofio, if my facts are correct, Otimofio. But then that time, very well, I think even ICHUNGWA MURKOMEN should remind himself, should even take himself back to that day, because Maraga issued a directive to Otimofio, the firm that was issuing IEBC with the system, so that they can allow access to the server. Ili he access to the server, he allow back then it was NASA. He allow NASA wapitie through the system according to what they want, so that he were addressed. But the IEBC system providers declined. So that is when the CJ Maraga issued a Solomonic ruling that ikiwa hatuwezi kuona hii server, basi haina haja to issue verdict confirm his election. Ikiwa hatuwezi kuona server na we are the ones who are the consumers, basi nullify. So Maraga ended up nullifying the election. So that election was null and void because keys to the server were not provided. Maraga ordered for a fresh election, I think in 60 days, which Raila Amolo Odinga did not participate in. But even in that fresh election, for the first time a president won by around 90%, not wrong, because Raila did not participate in that election. So Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta ended up winning by a margin of 90%. So that is when this handshake came about. So what Murkomen is asking for now, that why did Raila query Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta for the keys in 2017? I think Murkomen hapa anakosea kidogo, kwa sababu Raila haku participate in that election. The only person ambaye angequery for hiyo maybe ni nani, Ekuru Okwot, not Raila Amolo Odinga, because Raila did not participate in that election. Murkomen in that meeting over the weekend said, if all servers can only be opened by the president, why did Raila have them opened by Uhuru before he passed on the keys to the current president? He went further and said, Ruto is not the custodian of the IEBC servers, and therefore the opposition leaders should access the servers at their will. We will have them escorted to do so. He went further and said, the government is not a sweet potato to be split and shared. We will not allow them to get a half of the government positions because that is what they are seeking. I think Murkomen is not, being realistic here. The issue is not handshake. In fact, I have not seen anywhere, since I started following the narratives, since I started following these demonstrations by Raila Amolo Odinga. In fact, since last year, when Raila Amolo Odinga started talking about servers, he has not indicated that he wants to see Ruto. He has not. In fact, if he wants to, hiyo ni kitu rahisi. In fact, Ruto hiyo ni kitu ambacho Ruto nangojea. Lakini Raila Amolo Odinga has not indicated that anataka, anahaja sana na hiyo issue. In fact, even when Ruto called him my brother in Mombasa, you remember that remarks last week but one, when he called Raila Amolo Odinga that my brother, don't call for maandamano. Even went to father say, my dear brother. What did Raila say? Raila said, mimi si ndugu yako. That means he's not after any meeting, not after any negotiation as far as positions are concerned, because he is bigger than a prime CS, bigger than a deputy president, bigger than the CS, bigger than these leaders. In fact, he's bigger than the president, if I'm not wrong, because that's why those people are so that's why unapata kwamba kila mtu anampiga video within Kenya Kwanza, because one person cannot handle him. So all leaders there are just parroting. I mean, allow me to use that word because I first saw it in Mutai Ngunyi's post, parroting. So again, there's a time I listened to Kanchori's remarks very clearly when he was going through an interview in one of the leading media stations. So I listened to Kanchori very, very, very clearly, and he said, elections are not won here in Kenya, but they are taken. He went further to say that in the past 20 years, election has not been handled here in Kenya, but imekuwa ni tu taking the presidency. So election has never been held. In fact, what he's trying to say is that the last time elections were held was in 2002 when Mwai Kibaki took over the power from Moi in a peaceful and a legit way, contrary to what he did in 2007, whereby it is available in the public domain, aliiba vibaya sana. But then in 2002, very clean. In fact, the president alikubali kwamba it was very clean, and the person who was contesting surrendered. That was Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. But you see, the subsequent election, 2007, 2013, 2017, 2022, there has never been election. That is what Kanchori said in that book, the past 20 years. So if that is true, then that means in 2022, something could have happened, because Kanchori is literally trying to say that Chebukati hakuna kitu alifanya pale Bomas, that the results which he announced were from a fake server. That is what Kanchori is trying to tell us, from a fake server. But the good thing is that I read from one of my subscribers who is in US. He said that there is a way, an anti-delete kind of thing from the servers. Anti-delete. This anti-delete function will always undo anything that maybe the crooks or the hackers could have done. Maybe they could have deleted the logs. So this anti-delete, campaign, the anti-delete option can maybe restore or retrieve those logs. So that gives this issue of server to be very safe. Anti-delete option. I will do some research on this matter so that we can address it extensively, the anti-delete option. So that in the event that pale Masai Mara kuna kitu kilifanyika, the anti-delete will be able to undo hiyo kitu walifanya. Because we said in our previous analysis that we were shocked By the way, Kimani Ichung'wa aligeuka tu ghafla na support tena mambo ya server access. Ghafla bin vu alikuwa tena na support. So we were shocked by that remark. But the remark by Kipchumba Murkomen, we are not shocked by it because that is what they have been saying, kwamba server haiwezi, hatuwezi kuallow, hatujui, hatufanye but when this matters zikienda deeply, utapata kwamba wanaanza kutoa warning. I remember in elections, after elections, Mucheru, it was alleged that Mucheru had some Chinese who had come to Kenya to maybe do some forensic survey on that server. Then wakati huo Ndindi Nyoro, Ichung'wa Murkomen na William Ruto, they came out guns blazing on Mucheru, even warning Mucheru not to attempt to do what he's doing. So the intention of what Mucheru was doing with that Chinese guy was to unearth any secret ambayo hii server inaweza kuwa imefanya, but then they noticed and warned Mucheru vibaya kabisa. I remember you saw that clip when Mucheru was warned. I think that is when baada ya hapo hii story kaisha. In fact that time also Kinoti alikuwa anafanya vitu zingine hapo to maybe unearth that they were just trying to prepare the ground for if at all the Supreme Court called for a re-election. So that's why Supreme Court walipo notice kwamba hii re-election tukicall for these guys watakuwa shajua ukweli, itakuwa tricky. That's why they gave that kind of verdict. I'm just saying maybe that is why they did so. So ladies and gentlemen, kindly share to think about this below the comment section. And once again, I'd like to urge you to stay safe and stay blessed until we catch up again in our next analysis.